Welcome, welcome, welcome. Anyone that is joining in with us today, thank you so much for being here. Light on right now. I'm super excited to have her on. I've been kind of stalking her for the last few months. Hi!
We did it. Oh my gosh.
We did it! We were having some technical difficulties, but nothing we can't overcome.
I feel like they just should have named me technical difficulties.
Same. That's okay. They can't handle our light, so it's all good.
I'm so excited. I'm so nervous excited, especially after like the technical difficulties. I'm like, oh my God.
Right. There's not any sort of preparation you can do when you come into like that technical difficulty part of things. You're just like, all right, like now here's the butterflies. But
Yeah.
but thank you for being here. I'm super excited to co-create with you today and just share in your energy and your light and your love that you have been bringing to the collective so far. Before you got on, I was like saying how much I've been stalking you for the last 3 months, but not like in a good way.
It's not
I just love,
stalking because it's
yeah,
mutual, right? So it's
right.
okay.
I love your resonance and your energy and your unique light language activations that you bring forth for the collective. It's so soothing, but there's such a force behind it that it's really undeniable when you connect with it, and it's highly activating. So thank you for your service.
I mean, it's super weird. Like, I was like, you guys want me to do what?
Yeah.
And then I just took the plunge and I did it. And it's been so healing for me. And I'm so glad it resonates with like at least one other person because I thought it was crazy.
Right. Exactly. It really does feel that way, even though it can be super resonating for yourself. Like once you finally express those gifts of light and see how it's received, it's quite a journey. So, I commend you for your bravery and your courage to come up and show up and express your own divinity and helping activate the divinity in others. I feel like that's your whole mission, if I'm
Yeah,
correct. Yeah.
that's a pretty great summary. I I used to use the term hold space,
Mm.
but it's more of like a frequency, you're holding frequency. And I think you, and by you, I mean the royal you, we
Yes.
we come here and we just want to hold that frequency, and that's what I'm doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, same. It's like I come with no real agenda.
Yeah. Agendas are like
Just
a lot of work. I just want to be here,
yeah,
and shine.
yeah. We have a guest that says, hello, I was trying to watch this live from the PC, but my screen was black. Oh,
We have
I'm
had
sorry.
so many tech
Yeah,
problems.
we have
We're
a
just
lot of
cast.
tech problems on our end. So hopefully we'll have this replay that will download and come through, and then I'll post it on the page so you can come back and soak it in entirely for yourself. But Austin, I have a few questions for
Yeah.
you if you don't mind. I'd love to get to know you more in this public forum and allow the collective to get to know you a little bit better. I
Public
have,
forum. I'm totally terrified. I'm gonna make a fool of myself.
oh my gosh, you can't. Like the rawness and vulnerability that you bring to this platform is it's so authentic. And I know that word is such a buzzword amongst many different industries. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to use that word, but it is. It is
Yeah,
like you
definitely.
just, you don't care if it's perfect. You don't care if it's pretty, but it is pretty. It is beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful things that I've witnessed, through the platforms. And I'm just like, more of this, please.
I think
More. Yeah.
Instagram used to be so curated. I mean, it still is, and people
Yeah.
love that curated aspect of it. But man, I've never been able to fit into that box. And I think people are realizing now that they don't want that anymore because it doesn't, it hits different.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, some of those old containers are dissolving and we're just no longer like resonating with them as a collective. And even in different industries, not just this spiritual community, but you see it happening in other places, where people are like, I don't want the perfect vision. I just
Mm,
want something that my soul can actually relate to. Um,
right, right.
but yeah,
Yes.
I absolutely love how you really embrace the totality of who you are. um, the light and the dark. And I know that the collective really is coming into that space now of understanding light and dark, and maybe that our ego isn't our enemy. And, all these labels and all these things that we had to introduce and push on ourselves in order to break through. You definitely just, you hold all of it, you embrace all of it. And that's something I think a lot of us struggle with, on the journey, especially when you're newly awakening or you're newly like fired up. You're just like, whoa, what do I do with all this stuff? So could you tell me a little bit about like your awakening experience and what activated that, what broke you open, and what really like made you run towards this sort of alchemist journey?
Ugh, it's so hard to answer that with one thing. Um, I know like there's like that standard light worker path that everybody follows or most people resonate with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have that. I came into this incarnation very open. And, when I was a kid, I lived in a lot of places that were haunted. I lived on sacred burial grounds. I saw dead people all the time, and it was very overwhelming. I heard singing all the time as a kid. And I would like ask adults about it, like what is going on? Don't you hear that? And ultimately I started realizing I was different, and that wasn't a good thing, and that my family was very against this. So I just shut it all off. Probably by like 5 or 6, I just tuned it all out, and I became very disassociated from my body and myself. Um, the singing that I heard in my head, the people that I would see that are non-living, all of it was just too much. And then lots of trauma happens. Um, my mother died when I was 10. I went to go live with my dad, who's a sociopath, and I just disconnected even more, even more, even more. And it wasn't until my early 20s that um, I got married and I had my daughter. And I'll say that my daughter was definitely the catalyst for me to change, to become more connected. Um, I had, even during all of that personal disconnection, I always sought the esoteric, as you said. Like I never stopped reading. Uh, I am an obsessive consumer of esoteric teachings, and so I did study all of those things, but it was very like mental and linear through the
Mm-hmm.
mind. And I just couldn't embody any of it. I couldn't take any of it in because I was so disassociated from my body and myself. And it got to a point where it was like, okay, are you going to live or are you going to die? Are you going to drink yourself to death? Um, are you going to starve yourself to death? Are you going to be here for your kids? And so I did a lot of therapy, like psychotherapy, but I found a wonderful mind body therapist. And she was really the first person, I think I was 25 when I started working with her. And she was the first person who really started that it's not just in your head, like you have to come back into your body. Where do you feel these
Mm-hmm.
sensations in your body? I started doing EMDR. Um, I did all the stuff. I did 8 years of therapy. And so there was never one like moment, like those people, they have a whole YouTube or Instagram channel about their Kundalini awakening. I've never had that. It never was like a one thing.
Mm-hmm.
In 2018, I went to the desert and spent 6 days in a dome with a shaman, and it was an amazing experience. After 6 days of 8 hour straight shamanic journeys, I kind of was running out of things I wanted to heal.
Right.
So it was a lot. I don't have that like one experience,
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of just like the progression of my whole
Right.
life. It's like
Right.
all led here.
Right. Yeah. And like, what a gift looking back at even at those traumas and those abuses and those, addictions or anything that we kind of experience along the way. Like, how much gratitude you kind of look back when you're like in this space,
Yeah,
when you're singing light,
yeah.
And you're like, whoa.
Yeah. I mean, I always think when I go through my gratitude list every day, I'm always grateful for the person that I was, all the work that that person did, and all the things that that person survived because it led me here.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. I know. I feel the same way. I'm like, I sometimes I have like little flashbacks, you know. I legitimately had PTSD, and now I'm like, oh, a little flashback. And I'm like, thank you. Like I literally
Feels
connect with
far
that.
away.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. It does. But at the same time, I show gratitude for that timeline that I was on in that moment, and like that flashback that's coming in now. Like I see it as almost like a very sacred moment for myself to experience something and see it in a very different light, and even speak to that girl at that point in time, you know, and just shower her with gratitude and love. Like, because I know she felt it at the other end. That's
Yeah.
like what called me here, right? I sort of heard it, but like it was distorted, and now it's very clear.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I know you're religiously and ethically Jewish, and I think that's amazing. And I know you practice Shabbat on a regular, like it's every Friday, Saturday, correct?
Yeah, Shabbat happens every Friday to Saturday. I'm not like I've gone through phases, you know, sometimes
Sure.
it's like I don't use any technology. Sometimes it's like I don't do social media. Sometimes it's like we have matzo ball soup every Friday night,
Yeah.
you know. But I think everything should be fluid and flowing. But what I always come back to is that that rest, you know, taking a break. Um, I grew up, I'm only half Jewish,
Okay.
so I didn't grow up. I didn't grow up in a synagogue. My family was not religious. I didn't come to Judaism until my 20s when I started. Well, in my teens, I was like, oh, this is really cool. I like the fact that I'm more than one thing, you know, very much searching for an identity. And I got lost in all the
Mhm.
identities, especially, I wouldn't say especially religion, but the spirituality of um, Judaism is beautiful to me, and I'm a yoga instructor. I did my training in that, so I kind of got a little lost in that, you know. And I feel like you get lost in all of it, and you find things that vibe with you, and then you kind of get to this point where you realize that it's all one, and
Mm.
it's all one path back to
Yeah.
yourself. And I like the practice of Shabbat specifically because it gives me like 25 hours a week where I have to be like, okay, we're coming
Yeah.
back to me. What are we doing? And I like to use that as just a time to reflect. And I feel like, so when people talk about like portals, 888, Lionsgate, or whatever, you know, I think a lot of what makes that so powerful is that so many people believe in that portal and we're all coming together, co creating that portal of energy. And so for me, Shabbat's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like all over the world, people are not just today, not just this Shabbat, but for, you know, like a couple thousand years, people have been coming together for Shabbat to have this rest, reflection, connection with source. And like that's powerful stuff.
Absolutely. I really love that. You have that post about it, and I just it was so sweet and like tender about like how you see Shabbat and how you practice it and what it means to you, and the reverence that you have for it. You know, like you're saying, it's like this place for you to reflect, but it's like a grounding moment for yourself. And sometimes life can get so busy and hectic, we just lose that part, and we can, you know, weeks can go on before we realize, well, hey, wait, I didn't even meditate, you know what I mean, whatever it
Yeah,
is that you do to bring yourself to center, like that can happen. So like you said, and then also the connecting with everybody like globally, I think
yeah,
that's really cool on a specific times and specific days, you know, where you all agree, right,
yeah,
agree on this communion with
yeah,
source. That's
yeah,
beautiful. And I think that's where the lines are blurring between like spirituality and religion. Like I really do feel and see in my visions and sense like that place where people are really going to start to come together and respect the different approaches, you know, to connecting with source, like Shabbat.
yeah,
So yeah,
definitely.
that's
It's
super
it's all. I'm a huge history nerd, and that's where the reverence comes from. Is
cool.
because I don't know. I've read about it a lot. So I have reverence for a lot of things, but it just the deeper you go into any, I think, spiritual or religious practice, um, you ultimately get so deep that you find yourself. And then when you get so deep within yourself, you find God, whatever that God looks like. And you realize that we're all from God and we're all going back to God.
Yeah.
And, the path may have different names. It might have different, you know, mine has two candles. Other
Yeah.
people's has something
Yeah.
different,
Yeah.
but that doesn't make it different. Or it doesn't make it any less of a beautiful path home.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's interesting because there's another post that you had mentioned of like, I think it was like spiritual identities or labels. I can't remember the word you used, but it was something about like kind of detaching from those identities that we kind of hold
Yeah.
on to, like words. You know, we hold on to these words of that, that's what that means. And so then it separates us, you know, because we're
It's
not recognizing that it is all of the one, it's all of
right.
source, all of the energy. But we have to, you know, in our human minds, have to put it in a box to understand it. Can you speak a little bit
Mhm.
more on your perspective on that?
Definitely. So I took a really long break from Instagram. I started an Instagram way back in like, I don't know, like 2015 or 2016 for a business I used to have. And then I used it for a podcast that I did. And then I think around 2018, I just kind of left Instagram, and social media in general. I just kind of like stopped doing anything. I stopped really connecting with the outside world.
Yeah.
um, but since I've come back and I just see things a lot more different, I see it's just like post after post of people screaming like, "I'm a separate identity from you. This is
Yes.
as you said, the box. I am in this box. This is me," and it just blocks them.
Hmm.
And then there's people in the comments, well, that's not what my identity
Right.
believes, and um,
Oh, hey.
I got too animated.
Never.
I talk with my hands a lot.
I love it.
Um, but yeah, I just see it everywhere. And yeah, so that was when I brought the activation for June through, it definitely was about that cohesion of yourself and like bringing in all of you. Because I think to sit here and say, I'm not going to try to call anybody out, but I just saw this post and this woman was talking about how her ancestors were this, and she was 100% sure. And from a historical standpoint, as a huge history nerd, there's no way she could prove that, but she's
Mhm.
going on and on. And, like hundreds of people are commenting positively, negatively, whatever. And there was just so much turmoil
Right.
and disassociation and
Mm.
separation. And
Mm.
like I just saw it as a beautiful moment that could have been filled
Yeah.
with connection and filled with your personal truth,
Yeah.
but it wasn't.
Right.
And so whenever I did the June activation, which is the Wisdom Keepers, I had all of these different aspects that felt like they wanted to just come through, and so I feel open in expressing a lot of things because just this one body, this one incarnation is just this one. And I feel like there's a lot more behind it, things I've been before.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't mind expressing all of that, but I know like political correctness, maybe has issue with it. And so that's kind of where I was going. It's just like the separation only breeds more separation. Most of I believe, our depression, our anxiety, our unhappiness, our loneliness, our sadness, it comes from a disconnection from source. We're all longing to go home to
Mhm.
ourself, which is source. And yeah, so the more separation that we create, the longer that path home is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my guides, you know, the channels that I have, it's always like, you know, if you're looking for facts and specifics, like it's gonna keep you disconnected from what you're looking for.
Yeah. When
And
you
not
start getting into your logical mind about it, it's like your
right.
mind is like I feel like it's a box of itself.
Yeah.
You get so trapped up in that mind box, you can't
Right.
feel anything, any of the truth that's in the heart.
Right. Right. Well, that June activation is amazing. I was just like bathing in it yesterday. It's very very like layered with different things. I love the way that you put your offerings together. Can you tell me a little bit about your like creative process with that? I find it fascinating. Like I hear
Yeah,
all these different like layers and I'm like, whoa, like what's going on? It's not like any other uh,
it's weird, I know.
it's not weird. I mean, it's different.
Yeah,
It's not like any other typical meditation music, I guess.
yeah,
And I never really resonated with all that to begin with. I like it. It's soothing, all the other stuff, but it's just kind of, it gets generic after a while.
yeah.
Um, there's something very powerful behind all that. So yeah, I'd love to know your creative process.
So as we've discussed, I'm horribly technologically challenged. I always tell people that my technology skills kind of stopped with the advent of the sewing machine. So like way back. Um, yeah. So when I so last Lionsgate, about 2 weeks before 2024 8/8, I was meditating and I felt like, okay, it's time. You're going back to social media. You're going to create a YouTube channel. This is what you're doing. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? And so I made all these lists, and then I like did all this research. And I promise you that I Sing Right was not on that list. Like singing for strangers on the internet was not ever on that list because A, I don't think I sing good. Like I'm not a trained singer. And B, I did not have the technical skills to do audio engineering and that sort of thing. So if you go back and you listen to a couple of the first videos, they're not very good. But I hear that that's how all great YouTube channels start.
Yeah.
So at least I'm in good company, right?
Right.
Um, so I use Canva because it's
Mm,
it's the only thing I know how to use.
very
I
cool.
tried to use some of the more like fancy stuff that people have recommended online, and I don't know how to use them.
Yeah.
I can't make it go.
Yeah.
So what I do is I usually get downloads about like what the themes are going to be, what it's going to be called. So I sit down in Canva and I usually map out like the video first. So like I get like the theme, the feeling, the vibe, and I make the video. And then I go online and I look for different types of music. I look for meditation music, and then I also purchased some like deep tones like binaural
Mhm.
beats. I have some tracks that I purchased that are just pure frequency
Mm,
so that I can like layer in all the different frequency stuff and I just see which one feels right for that topic. So then I'm like layering all the music part in. And then while I'm listening to what I've created thus far, I just put my headphones on, and that's usually what you see when I post a video of me like dancing around. is just me when I get into the zone of like what that feels or what it feels like is coming through for that particular track.
mhm.
So then I'll just record that in a really like free app that I have on my phone because again, it was the only thing I could figure out how to use. I'm in the market for a new microphone. If anybody has suggestions about a microphone that a girl could buy that would be good for singing, I need it. Send me the
Right.
link because I don't have a microphone, and it was so hard in this last one because I was outside um, singing during like sunset. It was beautiful, and like the birds in the track for, that I just put up are
Mhm.
actually birds that were around. So like
I was
all the nature
wondering.
sounds, the wind, the birds, everything, it was like picking everything up, and I had to really go through and mess with this one a lot because it was like there was just whooshing wind and there was so much. It was a beautiful, powerful activation when it was coming through, but the editing process was a little difficult because I know that people don't want to hear like huge gusts of wind through the Texas hill country because that's what I'm doing right now. There's like two hills beside me and I'm kind of in the bottom, so it's very
Mhm.
windy.
Mhm.
So I need a good microphone that doesn't pick up that wind. But yeah, so you're exactly right. I just layer what I feel like is coming through. I specifically, again, because I hear voices, I'll find music that I hear singing. Like I'll play it and I'll wait and I'll just be like, oh, okay, we're singing. I hear you singing in my head.
Yeah.
This is the one.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I love it. I could tell like yeah, you're using different tracks, but then you sing on top of it, and I think your voice and the tonalities that you bring through just like sews it all together. I don't know how to explain it. Y'all have to just go on her page, go buy her song. It's on YouTube as well. Like you just need to check it out because it's very highly activating and it's so full of light. Like you can't deny it. I absolutely love it. Like I said, I was just like melting in it. I was like, wow, this
That's
is
how I
so cool.
feel
And like,
when I'm just, it's just like bliss, you know, like I
yeah,
could just live in that frequency forever. Like sometimes I've posted, I just forget to breathe because I'm just like
yeah,
here toning and it's just, I mean, I don't really meditate anymore. I just do that because it's like, it's so blissful to just be with the frequencies.
yeah, yeah. I
It's like my
feel
new meditation.
right. 100%. I feel like that's kind of where we're moving into as a collective. It's like no longer sit still and be silent. Like, yes, we could still do that. We still listen, but like the listening and the receiving is just almost, 100% active. Like you're always sort of receiving, and you're always, as best you can be in that place, but that meditative, like it's like a new meditative
Yeah,
space, which is bringing forth the sound through all of us, right? There's those influencers and those YouTube people that just have beautiful, angelic, strong voices, and you're like, oh, that's amazing. Like, I wish I could do that. And like, I can, but right now I can't. But I think it's very important for the collective to start lifting our voices.
yeah,
Like you said, you feel
definitely.
like you can't sing. I can't sing. I know I can't sing. I have been told I am not a good singer, but I do not care.
I've been told that too.
When the light comes through, you're like, I don't care. Yeah, these tones might be a little slightly off-putting, but if you're in the right frequency, it's everything.
Yeah. And that's kind of, it's been such a beautiful practice of combating my perfectionism
Yeah.
because it was really hard in the beginning to like hear myself and it not be my idea of perfect. And then I kind
Yeah.
of realized like, hey, I'm not creating, the next pop hit over here, right? Like I am just letting what wants to come through. And if my voice cracks sometimes, that's fine.
Mhm.
If I'm not on key, then what is the key? Like it's not for me to hear or to say what it should be. It's for me to deliver
Mhm.
it, and then I just put it out there. And my hope is that it finds the people who resonate with it and benefit from it. And I think we all feel that call. So many people, I get messages all the time of people saying, like, "Oh, I just want to live my purpose. I just want to, what is it that people say? They're like, I just want to support the collective, something like that. Or like,
Yeah.
I want to contribute to the collective. And dude, I get it. Like I've been there too. Like that was kind of I got stuck in this place of like I can't give. Like I just want to give. I want to give. I want to give. And then I had to realize like yeah, stop giving and you have to start healing. Like you just got to do it from within.
Mhm.
It the more you heal yourself, the more you heal the collective, the more you heal the world, the more you heal everything. And so when I started that mindset and less perfectionism and more presence, I don't know. And then I was just guided. It was like, okay, let's start singing for people on the internet. And people who like it will like it. And I think that kind of has allowed me to just flow, and just like I don't have any expectations of what the Icing Light project's going to be.
Yeah.
Like I do put a lot of time and energy into it, and I spend a lot of time making the videos. So if there's any kind of monetary exchange or if there's any kind of likes and shares, if there's any kind of follows, that's always wonderful, but I don't have like an expectation of it. It's just let's see what happens. And I think that new creative flow economy is really coming online. And every person I've ever heard talk about, what life will be like after Ascension, they talk about how you freely flow and create and express. And it's just for me, I like to call it like divine creativity,
Mhm.
like you're just in your own flow.
Mhm.
And that, that's what I do. I just get in that divine flow.
Yeah. Absolutely. All of it. Yes. I mean, it is exactly what you're saying. It's when you can take that time to just be on your healing path, you can clear your vessel. right? You can clear the body as much as you possibly can. Maybe it's not 100% clear, but you can be clear enough to be a channel, be clear enough to let the flow of light come through you and let it be whatever it is, because it's more powerful than any pop song on the radio has ever been.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but like it's all brainwashing.
It's all
If it's
programmed.
mainstream, then
Yeah,
it's programming you somehow. So, and I think there's everything is programming. Everything you consume is having an effect on you.
yeah,
So, I always talk about consuming high vibrational content. I stopped watching the news in 2016. I stopped listening to the news and reading the news 2018, and nothing bad happened, surprisingly. Like it
go
went
figure.
so far that I stopped even like looking at the weather. And
Uh-huh.
then about 3 or 4 months ago, I don't know, whenever hurricane season was, I went to the commissary, and which is like a grocery store for military people.
Oh yeah.
It There was a bunch of people there, and I was like, "What's happening? Is there like a storm?" And they're like, "There's a hurricane coming, like a really bad one." And I was like, "Oh, well, nobody told me." But yeah, no, I don't know. I don't even consume. I just kind of, that's not to say that I don't read books or I don't watch television sometimes, but I'm very selective about what I bring in. And I think that that clears that space, you know. It's not getting muddied by everybody else's agenda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're a conscious consumer,
Yeah,
literally. Like
yeah.
I'm in the same boat, and it's taken me a long time to get there. But yeah, don't listen to the radio, the news, nothing. If something bad's happening, my husband's telling me, I'm like, I don't know. I've had the
I'll
same
find out
experience.
when I go to the grocery store if I gotta stock up on toilet paper, so it'll be fine.
Yeah, I find out if a hurricane's coming because there's no water at the store, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, whoops. But you
I
know
live in an
what?
RV now, and I check the weather every day now because it is kind of imperative that I know, like, for
Yeah,
safety
for your
reasons.
shelter.
But there's so much freedom that comes from just living and not being told
Yeah,
what your day is going to be like, or, in Texas, which is where I am now, it's never what they say it's going to be. Like the weather changes all the time here.
yeah.
So, and I know it's becoming more like that everywhere. So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, why let someone else's program dictate your uh, day,
Yeah,
I guess?
your emotional state. Like, well, you know what the thing is like we all have that divinity of ourselves, and that divine channel is what guides us in every moment. Like you ended up at the commissary for protection if you needed it. Like, hey, you were in
Yeah,
the right place at this right time because everyone else was trying to huddle in there.
yeah,
Like those are the moments where you realize like I'm being divinely guided and I'm not seeking it out. It's I'm living it.
yeah, yeah.
I'm living.
I love that. I love that when the little intuition comes and I actually listen to it and I don't say, oh, it'll be fine. Because that happens a lot. I'm like, damn, I should have listened to myself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I love that. I love when it just comes and you're like, I'm so supported, and I
Yeah.
know it's easy to say that when I've watched a lot of people be like, oh, I'm so supported and the divine is always has my back. And it's easy to say that when you're not hungry or
Yeah.
you're not living in your car.
Yeah.
But I have been in all of those places. I've been
Yeah.
homeless many times. I've been unemployed many times.
Mm.
There were times when I was unable to feed my kids, and I can look back now and still see the ways that I was supported
Yeah.
and the ways that that pushed me to be on the right
Yeah.
path.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you, girl. Same. I've been in many of those very down and out places and probably experienced a lot more than the general human being. But I think most people in this community, we've all sort of had those dark
Yeah,
depth experiences by choice, right?
yeah.
I mean, that's just a personal belief of mine. Like, I know I signed up for all this
I feel the
and
same
I'm
way.
fine. I'm finally
Sometimes
in a spot where,
I'm like, why this fuck did I do this? But I did. I know I did.
yeah, yeah, but you go through the work enough, do you get to a point where you're a clear channel and you can really take a lot of ownership and
Mm,
responsibility for the place that you're in now, or any triggers that you see, that come your way, or
yeah,
anything that disrupts the center. Like you can really step back and observe it a little bit better than, say 5, 10 years ago. So, and see where
6
you've
months
been
ago.
6 months ago. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're changing, we're growing so fast. It's accelerating so fast. Yeah, you're right. I'm not the same person I was 3 months ago.
yeah,
Literally, just not that same person, and which I'm grateful for. There's nothing wrong with her. Just wow, this is so much
rapid,
better. Yeah.
rapid fire. And
Yeah.
I think, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to handle what's happening now, how quickly energy's moving, how quickly the triggers are coming.
Yeah.
Um, because we're being pushed to heal so much right now. And the more we heal, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
And it's like the more you choose to dig your head in the sand, the harder it gets.
Yeah. Yeah. There's those two choices. I think everyone's just deciding at this point. Um, so how are you feeling? Do you want to jump into like a light language flow? Are you feeling,
Yeah,
I feel
did
like
I
it's starting.
answer your questions? I know I'm
Yeah.
mostly a talker.
No, it's incredible. I absolutely, I could actually do this for the rest of the
We
session,
gotta
but
do a podcast. Like I think you and I, we could just have a lot of fun. You're such a good, I can tell that you have like this, you were like born to be an interviewer.
yeah, that's definitely been on my heart. I've done it before, but yeah, now coming back online, I was like you. I took a break. I was like, push all that aside real quick and let's work on some other things. But now I'm just like, I'm ready. Like, let's do this. Yeah, so I think we would have a lot of fun. We should definitely do a podcast and see what comes through on that.
Love it. I'm down. I'm down for
Cool.
whatever. Yeah, if you want to, with all of our technical difficulties, I think I turned my music off, but I can get it back very quickly. It just might be awkwardly loud at first.
That's
Okay.
okay.
Is that too loud? Not loud enough? I don't know if you
I,
even want to hear it, but I just
I
don't want
can
it to like
I
burn
cannot hear.
anybody's ears
I
off.
would
And
love to
to
hear it, but
Van Gogh the Healer, I hope that you have a great night as well.
right. I know. Thank you
Okay.
for everyone that jumped on.
I think that's as loud as my computer's gonna go. And I have you on my ear,
All
so
good.
kind of far away.
All good.
Cool. But yeah, no, I'm totally down. Whatever you want to do, I'm ready.
Okay. I'll let you start toning first, and then I'll just play off of that. Kunara shoyai yanaurata panyao tao kariana ta 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 Sioria tao sao Yanataki ha Hohania nanash. Hmm. Husi Noya sakara noya. Kashanaya. Eek. Now, yow, karam. Eek. Ow. Yes, yes, yeah, ai, torana. Kaya na ya. Yes, anayasu. Sweet kayo. Oyana oyasa oyanai. Oyana sanai ao. Kaya nakatar, kaya nakartarish, isa, hoya nakariyato, ha, yano yaso, yanakuya yanataram, hai, Shayana karoshotas iritata kuranati kasukia taruka nata i Oriasa tir a nora kara atorar i koti aranoram. I feel complete at this moment.
I was waiting for you. I was like, we didn't pick a code word.
It's all good. I
I
just felt like all the energy just like settling down, like, whew. Okay, back to planet Earth.
love it.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm so happy we could do it. It was fun.
Yeah, I definitely like those are tones and things that I've never expressed before. Definitely like swimming in your waters there for a minute. Like, wow.
Yeah,
Like I to kind
I've
of
never done this like live for anybody. It's usually just like honestly, I used to do it when I wasn't living in my RV. I would do it in my like small half bathroom because I liked the
yeah.
acoustics, and it was like after everybody was asleep, you know. So it's usually a very like isolated personal thing. So it was super fun to share it with someone, and I could
Yeah.
definitely like feel. I felt a lot coming back and forth with the play. It was a lot of fun.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And I think I love most about these type of co-creations is all the things that come afterwards, So I'm really excited to kind of like go back and forth with you like, oh, I got this download. Oh my gosh, this is happening because like I feel like
I
this
I totally saw this beautiful warrior you in like a past life,
mm,
so I'm super excited to share what I saw and be like, have you ever seen this person before? Because I saw her.
that's super cool. I really yeah, I want to know more about that. Yeah, that's so amazing. I'm just like literally I feel like I just took a like a long bubble bath out of
know, that's
So
why I do it. I like at first I was like, this is weird. I don't want to do this. And then it became like addicting. It
yeah,
was like, wow, I feel so good after. It's like I don't even when I wake up in the morning after I've slept for 8 hours, I don't even feel this good, you
yeah,
know?
like
But
this
that's what's
energized,
beautiful about
but
being the hollow bone is that you're bringing it through you, and if you're open and allowing to it to heal you while it's healing everything else that it does. It's like I one of the biggest teachings that I got from my last mentor was that you don't have to like control or micromanage the light.
yeah,
It knows what it needs to do.
yeah,
And your job is to stop being, for me, not everyone else. This is me personally. I'm kind of a controlling, uh, anal type B person. So getting out of my own way and just being like, yeah, I accept the light to do what it needs to do. Who am I to tell it what to do? I just let it flow, man. And then when you
absolutely.
start doing that, that's when you feel that post bubble bath floating in the vibes.
Yeah. Like I don't even feel that good after taking bubble bath. Like this was amazing. Your frequency and your light and your resonance is just it's so beautiful. And I can't wait to see, the growth of, your platforms and everything. Not from like a, business standpoint, but like I mean, I know obviously want that all for you, but just watching the collective like gravitate to what you're offering and what you put out there is just so pure, and I
Thank you so
hold
much.
so
I
much
want that for you
gratitude
too,
for you.
sister. I
Oh,
do. I'm so excited to see what comes through for you because what we do is very different, but I definitely was instantly drawn to what you do because to say that I can see your light isn't it's like I don't see it, but like a sense
yeah,
your light and it's beautiful. And I love seeing people step into that authenticity and express it freely because it just goes to show how much work you've done healing yourself to be
yeah.
so secure and so able to, the more work that you do on yourself, the more that you can bring that through. And so it's clear that you've done a lot to get where you are, and it's beautiful.
Thank you. Same for you. There's so much honor and gratitude for you, sister. Um, I do have like a closing question. What would you have for the collective as far as, if they want to step into their gifts of light? What would be your 2 cents, your advice on that?
Do you mean like light language, or do you just mean like embodying your light?
Embodying your light, because any gifts of light can look very different. That's why I love your tones that come through, because it's not anything that I've experienced before, and it's nothing that I'm seeing or hearing anyone else put out, and I freaking love that. And I feel like everyone has this very unique expression of light. So yeah, like what would be your advice if somebody's kind of on that awakening spiritual journey, but they're like you said, I want to be contributing to the collective. I want to, know what my purpose is. What would be your advice as far as how they can open up to their spiritual gifts of light
I
and
agree.
embody?
Yeah, I think everyone has a beautiful, um, like they have their own spark of divinity,
Yeah.
and I think that in our modern world with social media and television, magazines, and all of that stuff, we spend so much time trying to be like other people,
Mhm.
trying to gravitate towards their spark. Like, there was like
Yeah.
this long period where I was like, wow, why does that person all of a sudden look like a Kardashian? It's like they didn't look like that before, so it's like we're morphing into others. And so my advice for um, holding more of your own light is to morph into yourself. The more that you heal your triggers, every time you get triggered, that's an opportunity to heal. And like, come on, we're getting triggered all the time. So the universe is sending you all of these opportunities. And each time that you go through that trigger and you alchemize it from trigger to I see you, I feel you, you're allowed to be here, you're safe, I'm safe. When you start doing that inner alchemy, that's when your light can come in. Because if you have to make space for the light
Mm-hmm.
to come through,
Hmm.
and the more you heal, and the more that you're morphing into you and not embodying somebody else's light or image
Hmm.
or likeness, um, then the more room there is for your light.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And like just a one more mini question off of that. If somebody was like, well, I don't know how to like alchemize, or I don't know how to just be with my trigger. Like
Yeah.
what what sort of process do you use, or what can you suggest for other people to where they kind of open up and soften up to understanding that our triggers and these negative emotions are actually helping us?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you what I did and that what you shouldn't do. And then I'm going to tell you what I do now.
Yeah.
So what I
Yeah.
did was I was constantly seeking outside of myself. I was constantly seeking a therapist, a guru, a training, a course, an influencer. Like I wanted that quick fix of somebody to be like, yes, this is the method. And then, I would get like halfway through their course, or I would do the 6 days in the desert with the shaman, and I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? I don't really vibe with this
Right.
person. Or that person, I actually, that after that, on like the 5th day in the desert, she was like, I don't work with, people who see dead people.
Oh,
So we're just not a good fit. And I was like, you, and she was like scared. She was like, I don't touch that because that's scary stuff. And I'm like, okay,
wow.
well, I don't want to learn from somebody who's scared of my stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what it boils down to is like, you can't learn how to heal yourself from someone else. You
Mhm.
can only learn how to heal yourself from yourself.
Yeah.
And so I actually just left. I was working with a mentor for like 7 months, and she's great. I love her, and I still follow her content. But I left the container that we were in because I was realizing that's what I was doing again. I
Mm.
was avoiding myself by going into her content.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the past, I guess like 3 weeks now, every time something comes up, I just go within. I just sit with it. I just sit with myself. Um, and I will say I was working with Carrie Kay, and she has a great way that she teaches people to alchemize things. And I'm not going to explain that because you can go learn that from her. But anytime somebody's teaching you to alchemize things, it can only happen from within.
Mm-hmm.
You can't buy somebody else's course and they'll alchemize it for you, or listen to this track or this. And that's why I'm very intentional with what I call my music.
Mm-hmm.
I never say that I'm going to do something for you. And you see a lot of
Yeah.
people who are like, I'm sending you Reiki, I'm clearing your negative
Yeah.
energy, and that's great.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work unless you're doing it for yourself,
Yeah.
you know? And so my main thing is just go within. The more time that you spend in conscious reflection, whatever that looks like for you. So like I have ADHD and I can't just sit there in silent meditation. That doesn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to go outside. I like to be in nature. That's
Yeah.
usually how I get through my bigger triggers. And
Yeah.
when I was diagnosed with complex PTSD, when I would get triggered, I would go sit outside, like
Mm-hmm.
grounding on the earth, because it helped me come back into the present.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's a very unique journey. That's like not the answer people want to hear.
Yeah.
But the more that you dig within yourself, the more of the truth that you need you're going to find. The more that you dig through other people, the more of their truth you're going to find. And their
Yeah.
truth isn't going to get you where you want to go because it's not your truth.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Trust
Yeah.
me, I tried. I
Yes,
spent the money. I
been
played the
there
game.
too.
I did the stuff.
I did
It
all
didn't
that.
work.
All the
I mean, it
courses.
all takes you where you need to go eventually. So,
Yeah, you take what you like, you leave the rest, but you still feel a lot of emptiness afterwards, doing all these programs and courses, and it gets you like an inch further and an inch further, maybe, and then maybe two steps back, but whatever, right? It's still a part of the process. But like I do a lot of channeled messages, and a lot of the time, like they will be like, if we're not leading you to you, like don't listen to us.
yeah. Yeah. I
You
mean, and
know?
that's it. It's like if somebody, if you're hearing channeled downloads and it's not, if it's not, I was working with somebody wonderful and I can't remember who it was, but they were saying, if it's negative, if you're hearing negative feedback, you're
Yeah.
getting a negative download, that's your ego.
Yeah.
That's not a channeled message.
Right.
That's what you need to heal to get to the other side.
Yeah.
So, and I guess that's where discernment comes in, and discernment is so key in alchemy or alchemizing your emotions and your past. You have to start what it feels like within you to do that. And
Yeah.
nobody can teach that to you.
No, that's and that in itself I feel is a spiritual gift. I mean, that's what I call them. Just like discernment is something that you really have to allow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a cultivation of a skill and a lifestyle. Like discernment is everything. And I really try to make sure that everything that I post online is an invitation to your personal discernment. You know, it's an
Yeah.
invitation for you to go within.
Hmm.
There's so much on the internet and on social medias that pulls you out of yourself. So I try to create invitations for you to just go in.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do the work for anyone, and I can't, you know, bring in the frequency and clear your negative fields. Like I
Hmm.
was taught to do those things as
Yeah.
a shaman.
Yeah.
I can bring back aspects of your soul, and but
Sure.
it it's not going to stay unless you want it to stay.
Yeah.
It's not going to. It's all about you stepping up to the plate. And so I try to cue, you know, the ball with the music and the content that I create, but whether you hit it is up to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
spending a good
This was
hour
so
with me.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's a lot
mean,
of
we
fun.
could just go on
We
forever. Let's just keep going
we
forever.
we really
Yeah.
could. We're really but yeah, I definitely want to do a lot more of this. I love this type of stuff. I see Cassie's on here. I mean, we had a few guests on here, so thank you
Thank you to
everybody that did
everybody who
show up.
came. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you're showing up on the replay, thank you for your energy and being here and co-creating with us as well. And I'm sure we will do this again soon. Thank you so much for your light. So honored to have you here and so grateful for you, sister. Is there any closing thing that you would like to say?
Um, I'm grateful that we could do this. I'm grateful that we made the technical difficulties work.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I felt like this was I could feel a lot of energy building. So I'm so excited that we got to do it, and I'm excited to see what comes.
Yeah, me too. Definitely. We'll definitely stay in touch and we'll stay in touch with everybody else here. And thank you so much.
Yeah, and if you guys want to hear us talk about certain things, you have other questions, I'd love to do a podcast where we answer questions. And I like fielding questions. I'm not very good at like off the top of my head, but once somebody starts asking, then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
I think you're a lot better than you think you are, but yes, I understand what you mean. And absolutely, like podcast format, like with the questions, like we'll go all day long. I know E Alchemist is still on here. Do you have any questions since you're here? Is there anything that's coming up on your heart that we might be able to address? If not, we'll let you go and get a good night's sleep. Just wait a minute for her. There's always a lag, so I'm always like, I don't want to go too soon.
I can't even see the
Oh,
chat. Like my
you
chat's
can't?
frozen.
Okay.
No, I can see two posts from Van Gogh the Healer, and then everything
Okay.
beyond that, it just won't show me
Okay.
anything else. So
She does have a question.
drop in.
You kind of ask in regards to light language. Sometimes I struggle if I'm doing it right or not, but I'm just trying to listen to myself. What
Definitely.
would you say on that?
I totally agree. Whenever I felt my light language come back online, I was guided to do a course, and I did like a 6 week course. And I will say, you know, I did pay a lot of money, and it was good. I don't think that's for everyone, but I think if you find a course and you feel guided to do it, I think that can give you a foundation. You know, like it helps you feel more validated and more solid. And I think that's what I needed. I needed somebody to say like wow, you're doing it great. You know, like I have mommy and daddy issues, so as soon as somebody tells me you did a good job, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I need. And so having that outside source, you know, it doesn't have to come from a course. It could come from somebody else, you know, who's doing it. I went to a light language meetup, and it was wonderful. I totally didn't think that it was going to be helpful at all, and I had like major doubts and reservations. And I get there, and the guy did exactly what I do, and he was like toning, and he was the singing bowl, and it was like, oh my God, there are other people doing what I'm doing. I'm not just getting these downloads and I should be in an insane asylum. Like it was the external validation, I think, is the best at first,
Sure.
because if you're doubting yourself, then find a trusted source, like
Yeah.
somebody else who wants to give it, wants to give you that feedback,
Yeah.
and then at the end of the day, take everything with a grain of salt. Like, don't take yourself too serious. I didn't tell anybody what I was doing. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell my kids. I didn't tell my friends. Like, I just did it, and I didn't. I didn't share it with anyone until I felt ready. And I think
Yeah.
that's the other key is like when you gain your confidence by doing, then you'll be ready. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. My perspective is pretty much the same, but I always try to come to this approach of like, you don't, you can take the course, and if you're obviously led to the course, do it. If you resonate with somebody online, again, not trying to match their light, not trying to become their light or their spark, but you're like, it just activates you, it resonates with you, you feel uplifted, you feel good every time, and they're offering something, like maybe that's the thing for you. You would know
Yeah.
best. However, I do know that you don't need any of that.
Right.
And you mentioned it too, and it's more of like, allow yourself to be activated by other people that are doing it
Yeah.
authentically. And again, it's like when you see somebody's light language, do you feel uplifted? Do you feel activated? Do you feel moved? A lot of my light language is very like deep tones, and sometimes I'm like, this is scary.
I know
But
when I hear other angelic singers, they're all like, ah! And I'm like, I can't hit that, but
I
my
can't.
stuff's very deep. And so
Yeah.
I had a lot of like comparison, like, am I doing this right?
Yeah.
But I think the more that I just kept listening, like, there's so many free resources on YouTube, so many people
Yeah.
do stuff. And like you were saying, you can really find a few channels that you feel called to, find a few people whose voices, whatever it be, whether they're toning, light language, hand movements, talking. I tried what you do with words, and it just doesn't work because I'm too much of a control freak. Um, but when I did the course, there was a remembrance, and I think that remembrance has to happen. I totally had forgotten about how when I was a kid, I heard people singing, in
Hmm.
my head. And
Yeah.
then I was listening to one of the activations in the course, and I just remembered it. And it was like, poof.
Yeah.
And I think you can find that without having to spend money, just listen to a wide range of people doing it online and wait and see what comes through for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just find that resonance. And like she's saying, like, oh yeah, you can't see the chat. I forgot.
I
She
can't.
said it does make sense. I think the matter of also letting it happen when it wants to come through for me as well. Absolutely. Like
There was
when it,
one thing that just came into my head, and it was so there's so much in the universe, there's so much importance on
mm,
permissions and allowing. And
mm,
so I kind of always forget that I need to say, like, I am allowing my higher self to do this, or I am allowing this, that, or that other.
yeah,
So I think when it came to my light language, I didn't really, I mean, when it comes to anything, I have to constantly be like, oh, don't forget to allow this to happen, because then I feel like maybe I'm standing in my own way a little bit,
mhm,
or
mhm,
maybe it's all right there waiting to come in, and all I have to do is trigger it by saying, yes, I'm ready to receive.
yeah,
And that was something that came through in the course that I did. They were constantly saying, yes, thank you, I'm ready to receive,
mm,
which was like not in my vocabulary at all. Not that I wasn't open, it was just that I didn't think to use
yeah,
that turn of phrase.
yeah. Yes, like we're not programmed to actively receive or
Yeah,
deeply receive. We're not trained to do that. And so,
yeah.
yeah, it's just that simple, like, a command is the only word that comes to mind. It's
Yeah.
almost like a,
It's like
like
you're opening up
you have
a
that power.
floodgate.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're the one who has the power to this vessel. And that's the
Yep.
beautiful part. And I think just allowing, like when you feel that coming through you, you know, just either allow it to happen or record yourself and then listen to your own activation.
Yeah.
Let it activate you.
Yeah.
Bathe in it.
Yeah.
Fall in love with yourself. It may feel weird, it may sound weird, it may not look pretty. A lot of my languages do not look pretty. But like other people think it's pretty. But like the ego part of my brain's like, ah,
Yeah.
that's awkward. And like
I
I
think
think
it's a practice in that, like the more that you listen to yourself, um, like every time I could just feel this closing in myself where I would be like, oh, I didn't like that tone, or oh, I missed
yeah,
that, or oh, I did that wrong. And I would just be like, no, it's fine. Like it's an opportunity to jump in and heal what needs to be healed to get you where you need to go. So the more you listen to yourself and you rewire your brain to stop, like you were saying, like nitpicking,
yeah,
um, then this shift happens. And it definitely, I mean, it took me months. Like literally, it took me months. I think it didn't. I started in like October with the icing light project, and then I think maybe by February I was like, oh, I can see a difference now where I'm not nitpicking myself. I'm just listening, and I'm like, wow, this is a beautiful frequency.
yeah,
And it was a slow shift.
yeah, exactly. And I think the more you allow that and then like record it and like listen to yourself, you don't feel as crazy when it comes out. Because she's saying, I experienced that on my last meditation that I did and I look crazy. And like, I know that feeling.
Yeah, definitely. That judgment comes up, and like, it's not like I have transcended my ego and that
No.
judgment isn't there.
Yeah.
It's more of like, hey, judgment, I see you. Thank
Yeah.
you for letting me know your feelings. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna keep going.
Yeah.
Like, I see you, I feel you. That's totally valid because I always tell this to myself. I always sing the Smelly Cat song from Friends because like that's what I always think of whenever I hear back my tones. Sometimes I'm just like, what are they feeding you? And I just laugh at myself, because the more I think laughing is pure alchemy.
Yeah.
Like when you can just be like, this is whatevs,
Yep.
like, so I definitely made a joke out of it. I was just like, yep, there's some more smelly cat.
Yep. 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 Hey, everyone loves a Smelly Cat song, so yeah, no, totally. Same. I mean, I don't do it super publicly at this point, to be honest. Like, I just don't. I'm not out there like, hey, and some people are. They're just like very aggressive with it. And I'm like, this is a part of my journey. Like this, I'm comfortably moving forward in the way that resonates with me. And being online and being able to share that with people that appreciate it is a good place to build confidence, right?
Yeah.
Like
And
it just,
I think you'll get there. I didn't touch the person's name who's asking the question. Can you refresh me?
yeah, it's Alchemist.
Um, awesome. Yes. The more you do it and the more you share it personally, like with yourself, and then you'll just get this moment where you're like, I'm ready. I can share this with other people,
Yeah.
and then maybe you do it like have some anonymity. Like I totally started the Icing Light project as a faceless YouTube channel. I
Hmm.
was not gonna put my face on the internet with this because I was like, this is batshit crazy. And then one day I was like, you know what? We're just gonna do the whole thing, the whole shebang.
All
And
in.
and then I felt more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And that definitely didn't happen overnight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just was able to share my light language like with my parents within the last 2 years. And
Mm.
then just recently, last month, my uncle passed away and I knew I needed to go and like speak light language over him and send him on his way. And I know that sounds very morbid, but like I just knew it was like it was a part of the crossing over process and I knew I needed to be there. And I don't have a strong relationship with my uncle in the physical, but at my whole growing up. But like I knew I
Yeah.
needed to be there for him in this moment. And like I just did what I do. I just allowed it to be. And I was the only person he had cancer, terminal cancer. He was in hospice. So he wasn't speaking, wasn't eating, all those kinds of things. And his last day was with me, basically. The day I left is when he passed. But the day that I was able to do that for him, he ate, he spoke to me, a few words. And it was just like it was what he needed. So, you'll be called into places where people need you. I
Yeah.
think along the way. So again, get more confident, be more comfortable in your own skin with it. So fall in love with your own voice, fall in love with your own movements, fall in love with your own flow and your divinity, and just let that be your process over time. It doesn't have to happen overnight, you know, whether it's with a meditative group or not. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm literally in my closet right now. It doesn't matter, you know, like all those things of what it should be, just allow it to be. And eventually the collective is going to start asking for us.
Yeah.
We're just practicing right now.
Yeah. And I think the collective is definitely asking for us, and I think the more I think each person is asking for it within themselves, you
Yes.
know? And I think we're just reflections. We just reflect like the moon. I just reflect the light.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't me. I'm just reflecting your light to you.
Yeah.
So, and I
Yeah.
think there's so many people on the internet, on YouTube right now who are reflecting light, and you just have to find the right mirror that fits your needs.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you
And
said
that,
something about inner knowing, and I think that's really important too.
yeah.
Is just like following that inner knowing. You just learn to listen to it, learn to get familiar with it. It never steers you wrong.
No,
Yeah, you
no,
just have to
no.
you just have to figure out what frequency your inner knowing is talking to you on, and really tune into that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. That comes with all that clearing. So keep clearing, keep healing. Like,
Yeah,
it will come eventually. It'll be activated into it fully. It will just be falling out of your mouth.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes my hands will just like start moving, or I'll just start like really deep chest humming. Like I'll be driving and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, oh, okay, we'll just sit in this hum. And like, it just
Exactly.
happens. You just let it go. I think whenever you move enough of your egoic self out of the way, then it just comes through.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And I think it's really easy to get down on yourself and think like, oh God, I've been working so hard and I've cleared so many things. And I'm telling you, like the layers are never ending,
Yeah.
like never ending. And you just keep going through the layers, keep going through the triggers, keep healing, keep healing, keep healing. Because that's what we are being called to do right now. Everyone is just being called to heal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, and for everybody who asked questions that I can't see or
Yeah.
who were here who I couldn't see. I really appreciate it. This is awesome.
Yeah. She said, thank you so much. I love that. That's a great idea because I do feel like that in prayer hands. So thank
Awesome.
you
I'm
for
so glad
being
it
here.
resonates.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, love. I will let you go and I will talk to
Yes,
you soon.
awesome. I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
You too.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.